Hi, I'm Gail Sokol, and today we're going to be talking about the 3 most common mistakes to make when you make puff pastry and how to avoid them. Number 1, puff pastry is steam leavened. There's no yeast in it, there's no baking powder or baking soda. So it really means that those layers of butter dough, that's what a laminated dough is, really have to be multiple layers. And then the butter's going to melt. There's steam in there, and it's going to puff up the layer above and below it, and that's what causes this beautiful flaky pastry. So no matter what puff pastry recipe you make, you want to make sure, tip number 1, that your butter stays not melted and not softened, but it actually stays cold, and it's visible in the dough. Whether you make my puff pastry in a hurry or any other puff pastry dough, you want to make sure that the butter is visible. That's tip number 1. Number 2, when you roll out the dough, you want to make sure that the butter, if it oozes out, sometimes your hands are warm, the rolling pin is warm, and as you roll, you'll see some butter sort of mush onto your work surface. Immediately flour that part of the dough, so to save that butter from going onto the work surface, because lost butter is lost layers. Okay, remember that. 3rd tip, very, very important, that when you fold puff pastry, and I'm making palmiers today, but when you fold your puff pastry, you want to make sure that the layers meet up so that the edges, you see how my edges are meeting? I'm not pulling it over, and they actually meet perfectly. You want to make sure that edge to edge, so if let's say I pull this over, it meets almost perfectly. If you don't do that, you will compromise your layers, because like I said before, there's a lot of water in this dough, there's a lot of butter in this dough, and butter has moisture in it, water, and that water creates steam in the oven, and that steam is a very powerful leavener. So those are my 3 tips. Never make those mistakes, because you will have perfect puff pastry every time if you don't. Till next time.